developing story. Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups is charged in an illegal poker operation tied to the mafia. Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier is among several people charged in a separate but related illegal sports betting case where he's being accused of using NBA insider information. Billups and Rozier are among 34 people charged in connection with these schemes involving illegal sports gambling, authorities announced on Thursday. The NBA issued the following statement. We're in process of reviewing the federal indictment announced today. Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups are being placed on immediate leave from their teams, and we will continue to cooperate with the relevant authorities. We take these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and the integrity of our game remains our top priority. Now joining NBA Today, ABC News Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. What more can you tell us about these separate but related cases?
Yeah, Sinead, these are two distinct criminal indictments, both of them involving gambling, and one of them specifically involving the mafia, 4 of the 5 organized crime families, according to federal prosecutors in Brooklyn who announced these cases today. In one case, Terry Rozier is accused of faking an injury while he was playing for the Charlotte Hornets in 2023. But before he did, he tipped off, according to federal prosecutors, gamblers who used that non-public information to make $200,000 worth of wagers on places like DraftKings or FanDuel or some other sports book. There's another example that federal prosecutors outlined in which Damon Jones, who was associated with the Cleveland Cavaliers and the LA Lakers, he used his relationship with LeBron James to tip off some gamblers, according to the indictment, that James was not going to be playing in an upcoming game that the Lakers went on to lose. And again, sports bettors were able to use that non-public information to make tens of thousands of dollars worth of illegal bets. The other case involves rigged poker games here in Manhattan, in Miami, in Las Vegas, in the Hamptons, where Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones were used as what the mafia called face cards, using their celebrity to lure unsuspecting high rollers to poker tables that were rigged with X-ray machines and special glasses that could see the cards the other players were holding. Prosecutors describing this unusual intersection of professional basketball and the mafia.
As you now know, individuals such as Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier were taken into custody today, former, current NBA players and coaches. What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing.
Today, as you've heard, our office conducted a massive nationwide takedown from 2 indictments of 34 defendants for their alleged involvement in 2 separate illegal poker and sports betting schemes where, as you heard, the odds were rigged in their favor.
Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illnesses. They relied on corrupt individuals, including Jones and Rozier. They also misused information obtained through long-standing friendships that they had with NBA players and coaches. And in at least one instance, they got their information by threatening a current player, Porter, because of his pre-existing gambling debts.
Aaron, how did these investigations truly gain steam and bloom into what we just saw, federal indictments?
You heard the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Joan Osella, there, Sinead, say the name Jontay Porter. It's that case that really was the origin story of the illegal sports betting indictment that was announced today. and it appears that either he or others associated with that case may have given the authorities some information about some of the people that were charged today. In the other case, the illegal poker that Chauncey Billups and Damon Jones were caught up in, according to the indictment. That case started with the FBI's organized crime squad. They were investigating mob-linked illegal poker rooms in all sorts of locations, especially here in Manhattan. And that's when they discovered that these professional athletes were allegedly involved. And they say that investigation is ongoing. They believe there may be more of these poker games and more individuals may yet be charged. And these victims lost, in some cases, millions. One victim, $7 million by sitting at one of these rigged poker tables. And when the victims were unable or unwilling to pay, that's when prosecutors say the mob-linked defendants resorted to mob-type tactics, including violence.
Wow. Thank you, Aaron, for that meaningful clarification. Please hold tight, as we will circle back with you later in the show. Now, the NBPA, the Players Union, put out this statement, quote, "The integrity of the game is paramount to the NBA players, but so is the presumption of innocence, and both are hindered when player popularity is misused to gain attention. We will ensure our members are protected and afforded their due process rights throughout this process." Now welcoming in our senior NBA writer, Brian Windhorst, Kendrick Perkins, obviously, and the man who broke the news, Shams Charania. I'm Chiney Ogwumike, filling in for Malika Andrews. Now, Shams, this is truly a bombshell. How is this high-profile investigation affecting the league right now?
Chiney, there's been seismic reverberations across the NBA, because here you have a sitting NBA head coach, a former Hall of Fame player that is arrested and involved in this, and Terry Rozier, an active player that has been arrested as well as part of sports gambling accusations. And it places at least two NBA careers here in peril. And for Chauncey Billups, a wire fraud charge, money laundering, each of those counts up to 20 years, and illegal poker game fixing. But also in this indictments, there were also examples where Chauncey Billups, at least one example where Chauncey Billups potentially, allegedly gave information on his team tanking two sports bettors. And Terry Rozier has been under investigation by the federal government for at least the last 2 years for a March 2023 game. But the NBA, to be clear, had cleared him. That's why he's been able to play the last couple of seasons with the Miami Heat. And so this investigation, like Aaron just said, it started off with Jontay Porter. That's the origin story of this. That's where this all began. That's when about a handful of people were charged, arrested eventually, but now this is at over 30 people. How much larger of a list can this get? That's what everyone in the league is keeping an eye on. And
you also broke the news that obviously Hall of Famer Chauncey Billups, he's going on immediately. That's what the NBA put out in the statement. They canceled the Trailblazers their media availability today. What are you hearing about the team moving forward?
Tiago Splitter, their assistant coach, he will take over and assume interim head coaching duties for the Portland Trailblazers. The Blazers put out a statement today. They're saying that they are fully cooperating with this investigation. But clearly, this is something that they're going to be dealing with for the foreseeable future with Chauncey Billups. It's unclear when and if he will be back as the head coach. So Tiago Splitter will be the interim head coach here.
And Wendy, now that we have laid out all the allegations, can you please illustrate why, since the legalization of sports betting, that this has been a huge concern for the NBA?
Yeah, okay, so let's try to make this a little bit easier to understand for the NBA fans. There's two separate things going on here. The poker indictment is right out of a movie and fascinating. And that because it involves NBA individuals, it is concerning for the league. But that kind of gets pushed to the side. The league has to deal with the indictment that deals with the integrity of its games. That is what is important, okay? And that accuses two different things within that indictment. One, it accuses what we already knew, which is that there were players who pulled themselves out of games to win unders prop bets. That was Jontay Porter, who's already pled guilty to this. The day that Terry Rozier was accused of this, the sports betting outlets flagged this in 2023, and there's been investigations over the last 2 years in this. And this is what the NBA, quite frankly, is going to have to address very seriously, as Shams just mentioned, is that Terry Rozier was cleared to play over the last 2 seasons when obviously the FBI was seriously investigating him. And Malik Beasley, who is currently being investigated for similar actions is not named in this indictment, but it is also going to affect us because the league is going to have to be way more thorough in that investigation now because of what happened. The other thing is the leaking of inside information about availability for games. For decades, guys, everybody knows this. A team will know whether a player is going to play in the morning of a game or sometimes the day before, but that isn't publicly made available. And in that zone is a soft spot. That soft spot has existed for a long time. It's what bettors have tried to get access to for a long time. A star player is listed as a game time decision, but they know in the morning that his knee's not going to let him play. But for strategic reasons, they don't have him play. Or, as what is accused here, a team has decided it's going to tank and they're not going to play their players. And the coaches know that, but they don't announce it until later. Now, since sports betting became legalized, as you mentioned, the NBA has addressed this. They know that this is a problem, and they've way tightened what they do with injury and availability reporting. They have adjustments during the day, and they find teams when they haven't followed those rules. But there's still these gaps. And one thing I want to point out here, Chauncey Billups is listed as an unnamed conspirator. His name isn't in this, but if you read it, it's listed as a player who was drafted in 1997, played until 2014, lives in Oregon, and is coached since 2021. It is Chauncey Billups. He is accused of letting out information that a star player, in this case, what appears to be Damian Lillard, was going to be shut down for a key game. He is not accused of receiving money for that. Damon Jones, who is named in this indictment, is accused of receiving money for letting bettors know that LeBron James is not going to play in a game. And I just want to point something else out that's just interesting, is that Damon is accused of doing this on 2 different occasions, a year apart. And the second time he did it, he indicated that Anthony Davis might not play in a game. Anthony Davis did play. LeBron James did play. The Lakers were the underdogs in that game and won. And the bettors lost and got angry at Damon and wanted their money back, according to the indictment. So this is a very messy situation. It is amorphous, but this is something the league is going to have to address, and I'm sure that they will.
Yeah, and you mentioned Terry Rozier. We saw some video from games in question. His attorney actually released a statement Thursday that says, in part, Terry was cleared by the NBA, and these prosecutors revived that non-case. Terry is not a gambler, but he is not afraid of a fight, and he looks forward to winning this fight. Brian, final word, because I know a lot of people are looking at a head coach in the NBA, also a player in the NBA, plus, as Shams illustrated, 30-plus individuals involved. Where should we be? What should we be thinking right now?
Yeah, this is obviously concerning. This is obviously something that the NBA has known is a danger and has taken steps to address. This does not shake the NBA to its core. This addresses gambling situations that the NBA has tried to manage for years and will now have to continue to address their situations and continue to try to manage. And this is something that everybody in professional sports understood was a reality when they embraced the legalization of widespread sports betting.
And this is also something that we will continue to follow, this bombshell story, throughout our show with more reporters, with more insight.
Breaking news from the NBA. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat star Terry Rozier have just been arrested in a massive FBI gambling and match-fixing investigation. This could be one of the biggest scandals in modern basketball history. In a stunning turn of events, NBA legend and current Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups has been charged by the FBI in connection with an illegal gambling and poker rigging operation. Alongside him, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier is also facing serious accusations tied to illegal sports betting and insider NBA information leaks. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn, more than 30 people have been charged in a widespread gambling network linked to organized crime syndicates. Authorities revealed that Chauncey Billups is accused in a separate indictment for helping rig underground poker games allegedly backed by powerful crime families. Meanwhile, Terry Rozier is accused of participating in an illegal betting scheme using private insider information from the NBA to gain an unfair advantage. The indictment mentions 9 unnamed co-conspirators, including a Florida resident who played in the NBA, an Oregon resident who played in the NBA between 1997 and 2014, an NBA coach active since at least 2021, and even a relative of Terry Rozier. The NBA has not yet released an official statement, but reports confirm that the league is investigating both Rozier and Billups as well as the former Detroit Pistons player Malik Beasley for related allegations. According to ESPN, Rozier's attorney Jim Trusty said his client had previously met with NBA and FBI officials in 2023 and that he was told he did nothing wrong at that time. Despite this, Rozier was taken into custody early Thursday morning in Orlando. The Miami Heat organization has not yet commented on the arrest, and attempts to contact Billups for a statement were unsuccessful. FBI Director Kash Patel held a press conference Thursday, revealing more about the extent of corruption and betting manipulation within professional basketball circles. Officials compared this case to the earlier scandal involving former Toronto Raptors player Jontay Porter, who pleaded guilty to fixing his own game stats for betting profits. This shocking development raises serious questions about gambling's influence on professional sports and whether more names could soon surface. If convicted, both Billups and Rozier could face severe penalties, including bans from the NBA and possible prison time. We'll continue following this story as it unfolds. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update on the NBA gambling program.